Hi guys, right, just a quick review on episode 4 of series 12 of Red Dwarf. Okay, just brief sum up at the start. I didn't enjoy this as much as the other ones, to be honest. There was nothing like, it was not a bad episode, but it certainly wasn't a good episode. One of the reasons I sort of point that out, it took about half the episode to actually get to what the point of the episode was. I mean, this one's a little bit smaller scale than the rest of the others, and I know from some of the comments I've had from some of the other things that maybe that's something that might appeal to people a little bit more, less extra characters and stuff like that, which I do understand. But with this episode, I did feel it just sort of dragged on a little bit, starting the whole thing with the Crichton joke and the manipulating people - being patient lessons that he learns with Lister. It wasn't a terrible joke, but it took a while to get to the punchline, and that carries on sort of in the episode a little bit. I'm being a bit negative, but this is definitely, out of the 4 so far, the worst one so far. I only really recall probably sort of 2 okay jokes. The best one being when let me just explain briefly what happened if you haven't seen the episode. In essence, the guys are on the ship, sort of general stuff happens, and then they download e-cargo, which was some sort of con, and there was a bit of a joke about that. But basically there was a ship that was in distress apparently, and they started downloading its e-cargo thinking that would be a good thing to do, and it started to corrupt the systems on the Red Dwarf ship, so they had to abandon ship. And in the process of abandoning ship, some of the various machines and stuff on the ship, such, like the ones that sell the hot drinks or the various chocolate bars and stuff like that, were asking about, are they getting evacuated? And as it turned out, they wouldn't be getting evacuated because they weren't seen as sort of essentials to go, which basically resulted in them doing a strike on the ship and refusing to work for the crew. That premise there is quite a good idea. And then it went into this bit, which again I didn't mind too much, where they were like, okay, our 4 characters decide between them that they're going to do. One of them needs to represent the various ships, computers and stuff, and machines for the future, so then they have a say and a right and everything, because at the moment they've turned off basically everything, so our 4 guys will probably die within a few hours, whatever the case may be. As that results in Crichton being one of the guys standing for election and Rimmer being the other. And to be honest, with everything that's gone on and everything in recent years with elections and stuff, it feels like there's a lot of material you could work with here. And I felt like they didn't do as good a job, and I'm sorry about this, but I feel like they didn't do a good enough job with this episode, because there's actually a lot of material to work with. I'm not sitting here or standing here claiming to be some sort of like brilliant comedy writer. Clearly I'm not. But I did feel that with the context of what we're using and everything that's going on, I thought we were going to get some references to some recent things that had gone on. I'm not disappointed that we didn't talk about, like, let's say, Trump or Brexit or any of the other things that have been going on over the last few years politically. But still, I sort of felt they kind of missed it a little bit. There was one quite funny scene when they were doing the political debate, where the machine that was asking the questions asked Rimmer, in essence, when does a document become a document? Is it when it's written, or is it when it's printed, or whatever the case may be? And you know what? That was a good sort of, link between that and the whole, obviously, life debate that we have across many countries in the world. And that was sort of more the kind of thing I was expecting to get from this episode. When I realised they were going to do a sort of political race and everything, I thought this is going to be pretty funny, and it wasn't that funny, unfortunately. And it leads to the other bit towards the end of the episode, where we get introduced to, sort of, you could argue, an old character, the toaster from series 1 or 2, that was incredibly annoying. That was a joke, and it was quite funny. And when we heard that he'd have to go and see that Lister had to go and basically talk this robot into voting for Crichton to then win the election, because he was the swinging vote, this toaster, and had been locked down in the garbage bay or whatever for the last sort of 20 years or so, since we last saw him, I guess. That all sounded quite funny, and when he went down there and they had that conversation, that was all pretty good. And they agreed with that toaster that they'd let him out and have him in the bedroom and stuff from there, or the sleeping quarters from that point onwards, because he was going to vote for them. And then we got towards the end scene. There was a scene with Cat and the glasses. If you haven't seen the episode, it's not a particularly great joke. And then the very final scene is him basically saying that he's left Rimmer in the garbage thing, and then Rimmer's stuck there with this toaster. Again, I don't know, maybe I was hoping for a little bit more there. I was kind of expecting there to be possibly quite a good final joke with the toaster, and to me, when that bit happened, I was just a bit like, oh, it's a crap joke for Rimmer, It's a crap joke for the toaster, and the lead up to it was a bit crap as well. And so it kind of summed up the whole episode. So, I mean, I've just gone through this review and pretty much moaned about everything. It wasn't bad, but, you know, I preferred all the other episodes, and I did feel like this one was a little bit, not rushed, but maybe they missed some opportunities. You know, there's some good writers, and they show that by coming up with these things that are a little bit outside of the box and then addressing it. A bit like, not the same, but you know how South Park does it. Red Dwarf does it on a much, much lower scale in that respect. But I think they missed a few opportunities here, and this felt more like a bit of a filler episode. And so after that long rant, I am going to give this episode a 6 out of 10.